Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the In the Hub podcast, brought to you by Playbox Technology UK. Today, I'm joined by Daniel De Beer from Solution Centre. Since 1997, Solution Centre has been the go-to supplier and technology partner for all things Apple in Zimbabwe. Since then, they've greatly expanded their technology product portfolio, recently becoming an official dealer of Playbox Technology software and systems. Really hope that you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the In the Hub podcast, Daniel. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How's it going on your side?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, mate. Not too bad. So I think we'll just get started straight into the questions then, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So just for some context before we do start, Daniel, how did you and Solution Centre itself come to be involved in the broadcasting industry more specifically?
Well, basically, Solution Centre's background is in IT. And we're actually an Apple authorized reseller. So what we've found over the years is that Apple has opened all sorts of doors into other verticals for us, into other sectors, things like printing, things like networks, all of that sort of thing. And when it came to the broadcast side, it was predominantly Adobe, in fact, that sort of got our foot into the door on that side of things. And sort of from there, it just sort of snowballed. And one of the other verticals was obviously networking. And as we know, in the modern broadcast industry, networks are very, very big parts of any sort of production setup.
Yeah, so I mean, it's good that you guys had this kind of background going into it. And do you think that you'll be involved in this industry for the long term? You know, what has been your kind of first impressions of the broadcasting industry?
Yeah, definitely. We intending to be in the industry for as long as possible, and probably indefinitely. And it's been really great to learn and watch how the industry itself is evolving. We are one of the only, if not the only, SI in Zimbabwe, so we're sort of uniquely poised as far as that goes. But I mean, it's a diverse industry, a lot to offer, many things to learn, and many different facets that really just spark the interest.
Yeah, and it must be quite a good position to be in, being, you know, the only SI based out in Zimbabwe. Almost like you've just been chucked straight in at the deep end, isn't it, basically?
It is, in a way. It's yeah, it's nice in some ways, but it's also a bit difficult because we no longer compared with sort of local or regional SIs. We now thrust onto an international stage. So we compared with the sort of big players internationally, not just sort of regionally. So it's keeps us on our toes.
I can imagine it's very fast paced at the moment.
Exactly, yeah.
So what is the background of Solution Centre, and what solutions did you guys typically provide?
Basically, the Apple side of things has sort of launched us into the tech and IT space. I mean, we've deployed quite a few networks into schools, corporates, banks, that sort of thing. We're in a HPE Aruba partner. So those are the sort of high-end enterprise networks that we're deploying. As I mentioned, the Adobe got us a foot in the door with the broadcasters because they'd come to us for editing solutions, and we'd then sort of say, well, do you have cameras? Do you have this? And then Canon came to the game. And then soon after that, Blackmagic. And sort of Blackmagic has really opened the door to not only broadcasters, but producers and even podcasters, YouTubers, that sort of thing.
Talking about moving into broadcasting and getting involved in that kind of space, broadcasting itself and TV in general in Zimbabwe, what is the current broadcasting landscape like there, and how is it changing?
Well, at the moment, it's changing very fast. But up until end of 2020, it was very, very bare. There was only one TV channel in Zimbabwe, and that was run by the state broadcaster. And what happened in 2015, SADC created a directive that all SADC countries needed to be on a digital platform by 2015. And that's obviously fallen behind and not quite on par, but there have been moves to get onto the digitalization. The first step was obviously the government putting up digital base stations across the country. And then at the end of last year, end of 2020, the government announced new TV licenses, which basically meant that we'd be going from one TV channel in Zimbabwe to 12. Six of which would be owned by the state broadcaster ZBC, and then 6 of them would be independent TV channels. So that's really sort of got things moving. And the mandate with those licenses was that the TV stations had to be up and running within 18 months of the licenses being handed out.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a very short turnaround time.
That's a huge ask, isn't it?
It's a big ask. It's not impossible, but it is a big ask.
Yeah.
But what it sort of really has also done is it's opened up the landscape for producers and content creators, because traditionally where you had one TV station that was sort of holding a monopoly, you've now suddenly got a whole lot of different platforms for the content creators to showcase their products, if you can call it that. And what we found before was that the content creators and producers were going straight to YouTube because they didn't see the audience on the local channels. So I have a feeling that's going to start changing. And I mean, Zimbabwe is very lucky that our population over the years is very creative. You think of the likes of Oliver Mtukudzi, Gemma Griffiths, Coldplay's Chris Martin actually has roots in Zimbabwe. Then there's actors like Denaya Gurira, shows like Cook Off and movie Niera, all sort of Zimbabwe based. And this has come out of a country that's had no real broadcast or production industry to really talk of.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and it's going to continue to do wonders for the culture and creativity in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do.
Just to kind of go back to those roots of Apple products and things like that. I had the thought recently, obviously, the level of production and production quality that you can achieve nowadays with the latest iPhone and Final Cut Pro on a MacBook or an iMac. And I think that's really helped to obviously inspire a generation of individual content creators. How much do you credit this kind of wave of user-generated content to smartphones and Apple itself? Do you think that was really the catalyst for it and it started it all?
Yes, to an extent. I mean, Apple pioneered the breakthrough for the layman into what was sort of previously a restricted industry. And they've pushed their content creation. I mean, that was from when they first started. And the barrier to entry until the introduction of sort of smartphones and basic editing software was the high price of equipment. And what Apple have sort of pioneered, as I said, is that they've brought those sort of prices down. Now, when everybody has a phone these days, if you've got a phone, well, you can become a creator. So we talk about Apple, and although they pioneered it and they have a focus on content creation, they're not the only players in the game anymore. I mean, many manufacturers have exploded into that space, and it's sort of, I don't know if it's triggered a social media revolution, but it's also the social media revolution has played into those hands. I mean, everybody's on TikTok now. Everybody's putting these little YouTube videos up, YouTube channels, Facebook. All of it is sort of played into your creatives. I mean, the options are endless.
Yeah, I just love the accessibility and programs like Adobe and Creative Cloud, in just bringing software that you once thought the kind of realms of editors in editing suites, for major Hollywood films. And you can actually just run
Correct.
that on not even that
On
much
iPad,
specialist hardware. Yeah,
tablets. Yeah, exactly.
It's just crazy to think sometimes, and I love it. Just the the accessibility of it all nowadays. Yeah. In terms of COVID-19, and I hate to bring it back to this, has that had an impact on the work that you guys have been doing? And how have you kind of worked around this?
So, look, it's affected everybody worldwide. Here in Zimbabwe, we've been very lucky that it hasn't been as bad. There's definitely an impact locally, but we are not seeing the same sort of numbers that we're seeing internationally and even regionally. So from that side of things, we are very, very lucky. But from the sort of broadcast industry and that sort of thing in general, where we've really been affected is on supply chains. And look, that's something that's been affected worldwide, but it sort of takes longer to trickle down to us. So we're still struggling with certain products and getting certain things to our customers. But I mean, the other thing that we've noticed is projects that were ready to go suddenly sort of offset by months, years even, because of the impact. But at the same time, it's created a higher demand for, I mean, your entry-level streaming equipment. Again, we're going to your content creators, your streamers, your social media influencers. Suddenly, there's been an absolute boom in that sort of level of the industry. So, I mean, in a nutshell, it's changed the environment, but it certainly hasn't broken it.
Yes, 100%. And in terms of going forwards now from COVID-19, what does the future hold for Solution Center? What can you see in the future?
Well, for us, it's very difficult to look too far into the future. I mean, we've got such fluid economic conditions and political conditions here that to plan too far into the future can almost be detrimental. Obviously, we have to look into the future and have some sort of a plan as to what we want to do. But we're certainly looking to be around for a very, very long time. We want to be here for our customers. I mean, we've been here for a long time. We've been through the good times. We've been through the bad. So we sort of feel that if we can carry on with that, we can sort of really create a name for ourselves in the space. I mean, we've come through many, many challenges over the years, many depressions, many ups, many downs. And I mean, you could almost say that work experience from anybody in Zimbabwe is worth 3 times that in any other environment. So yeah. it's almost about sort of climatizing to find the correct solutions and fix the problems as they present themselves.
Yeah.
So we've sort of been conditioned to be able to roll with the punches.
Yeah, and I've got every hope for you guys, especially within broadcasting as well. And I can't wait to see what you guys get up to in that space.
We're very excited ourselves.
Because it is such an exciting time in Zimbabwe itself as well, isn't it? For broadcasting and broadcasters.
Yeah, it really is.
And I'd be really interested to get your perspective on this, Daniel, being a relative newcomer to broadcasting and that kind of industry.
Definitely,
from outside in, if you could sum it up in one word, what would you envision for the future of the broadcasting industry? And there's no wrong answer to this. It's
well, it's very difficult to describe the industry in one word. I mean, in a phrase, I'd say it's a bit like a roller coaster ride, a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, definitely.
But then, if I was to give you a word, and we've used the word a few times already, I'd say it's exciting.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to describe it.
I think that's literally all you need to say. I think it's one day to the next. It's never the same, is it?
Exactly.
And change itself is really exciting. If you're someone who more embraces change rather than being apprehensive of it and scared of it, I think this could well be the industry for you and technology in general, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly.
You never know what's around the corner.
Well, yeah, 100%. Technology is constantly changing, and the things that you can do with less is sort of it's picking up. I mean,
it's almost getting scary now, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
So just to finish on then, Daniel, and thank you for obviously taking the time out today. Are there any exciting plans in the pipeline for Solution Center that you can talk to us about today?
Yeah, well, I can say that we're working with a couple of the new TV stations. We're actually hoping that with these TV stations, we can deploy a playbox solution for them. And hopefully it shouldn't be in the distant future. I mean, the 18 months is sort of ticking down now. So we're getting to that stage where we can start saying, right, guys, what can we put in for you? On a more sort of closer to home for Solution Center itself, we're actually building a small demo studio at our offices here. So that'll be used to showcase products, solutions, so that if someone comes and says, okay, well, this is what we're looking at, we can actually give them something tangible to look at and to feel and get an idea of. And yeah, again, we've had to be a bit creative with it, and we've sort of created the studio in a shipping container.
That's brilliant. I don't know what it is about retail locations within shipping containers, but I'm almost drawn to them for some odd reason. It's almost like I look at that and think that's a brilliant idea. That's a great concept.
Yeah, so we've created our training room and demo studios out of the shipping containers. So that's quite cool. And then, sort of as a follow-on to the demo studio, we're going to create a YouTube channel. So that'll be coming. We're busy creating content and building that up to create that YouTube channel that people can sort of visit and have a look at.
And how can people get in touch with you directly or Solution Center if they want to chat?
Yeah, they can contact me at Solution Center, no problem. But I mean, we're on all on social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, contactable on WhatsApp, email, phone numbers. All of that can be found on our website, solutioncenter.co.zw. And then, as I mentioned, the YouTube channel coming soon.
Brilliant. Yep. So we'll link to your website in the description for the podcast as well, Daniel. So
fantastic.
Anyone on Spotify, Apple Music, head to the description. You can find the website there. So Daniel, I think that's everything I had for you today. Thank you again for coming on and answering the questions today. We really do appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Thank you very much then, Daniel.
Cool. Thanks, man.